Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
This first piece is called Crybaby. Most people who see me out in the world see me as stoic, as professional. They see me as all the ways I've been trained to be in order to survive, to be successful. But the truth is, I am a crybaby. I cry at everything. I cry for myself. I cry for others. I cry because the tree outside my bedroom window is just so friggin' beautiful. I cry because my body is tight and I don't know why. I cry because I'm a sponge that I've forgotten to wring out for far too long. And so when I do, it's a deluge of all the shit I don't need and a flood of the reminders of the things that I want. I cry because I interrupted that person one time and felt bad about it for 3 weeks and still kind of think about sometimes. I cry because at the time my neighbor was snooping around my friend's car. You know the friend, the one with all the queer bumper stickers? Yeah, that neighbor hasn't talked to me since. It's been over 2 years. I cry because I've seen my brother for the first time in 3 years to clean out our dead mom's house and immediately having to send him back to California. I cry because they had the cops called on them because some sad, angry white person was afraid of something life-affirming. I cry because he tried to do everything right but had to quit his job just so that he could barely afford his medical care. I cry because she so desperately wanted to express herself but felt too unsafe. I cry because those are words I will never get to hear. I cry like that stream that flows gurgling behind my house, the stream where I laid to rest that starling that killed itself in my attic out of stress. I cry like that stream washing away all that needs to be acknowledged, but does not need to be held on to. I cry like that stream so that I can keep going. I cry because I do take things personally. Shouldn't we all take things a little bit more personally? That tree blooming outside my bedroom window reminds me what life can be like when it's uninterrupted, when there are no barriers to flourishing, when our very existence is beauty. Oh, this piece is called Back Then. I was 10 when my father sat me down, took a deep breath, and hesitated. He etched a judgment onto my heart as heavy as his sigh when he told me my cousin was a lesbian. I learned what the word meant from a man in camo pants who thought Ann Coulter was bright. Lesbian meant shame and fear and something not quite right. I was 11 when my father took that same labored breath and told me that my cousin had attempted suicide. I thought she had tried to kill someone else. I learned the difference between the words homicide and suicide from a man who never cried. The summer before I turned 14, my friend Amy came back from gymnastics camp, and my second thought was she must have finally hit puberty. My first thought got stuck inside my throat for the next 14 years. 21 years old, forcing myself to drink. What was I trying to forget? Maybe my uncle's voices making fun of the butch lesbians, the sissy gays, making fun of anything that threatened their own stunted life experiences and ways. So what I do, settled, moved in, got my first taste of what was supposed to be love from a guy who could only go down on me if he was 15 minutes away from vomiting up Tanqueray. I was 27 when I could admit that my first thought back then, when I was 13, was, damn, Amy got hot. I could admit it, but it had been lodged in my throat for so long it had started to taste like Tanqueray, vomit, poison, danger. At 29, I learned what internalized homophobia was from a grandma who, holding her lover's hand, could see right through. At the Dyke March, in moral support of my friend, that grandma winked at me, and I thought, oh shit, she knows. Knows what? Oh, shit. At 31, I could finally admit to myself that I had been relieved back then when I found out my cousin had tried to kill herself and not someone else. The relief came from the assumption that it was normal to kill a part of yourself. She just tried to kill a larger part than I did back then when I was 10. But at 32, I finally pruned the branches of my family tree so that I could be free, with new branches growing, bursting with blooms. That was when my cousin taught me the word pansexual meant the freedom to connect with whomever, focusing on the important parts, people's hearts. I learned how to be me. Back then, when I was 10, I would have never been able to believe what I know now at 36. Eyes on you, transfixed, the grimace and pain on their face isn't facing you. They're not facing themselves, living fractured and bitter, trying to swallow down the regrets, instead vomiting up their poison. Repression tastes sour, but we don't drink Tanqueray anymore. We blossom into flowers and touch hearts, some other parts. But the important part is that it really does get better. This piece is called Imagine. When am I allowed to feel this? I don't want to wait until I'm alone. I've always had a hard time making eye contact with people. Their eyes told me of their pain, which showed me their lies. They weren't actually okay. I couldn't call it out, so I had to look away. But now my capacity has grown, so again I look. They're still in pain. They're still pretending. They aren't okay. And I hold it for them, even if they don't know I am. When am I allowed to feel this? I don't want to wait until I'm alone to let this pain wash over me. How can everyone pretend? How can they pretend people aren't starving, aren't displaced, aren't silenced, that bodies are not being bludgeoned, bombed, burnt, brutalized? Never mind the world. How can they pretend that most of this isn't happening in their own county? How can they pretend we aren't all complicit? Can they even cry alone, let alone let us cry together? When am I allowed to feel this? I don't want to wait until I'm alone. I don't want to be alone when this pain washes over me. At work, a meeting with my supervisor, she asks how I'm doing. I'm honest. I don't cry. A workday miracle. I look into her eyes and the edges blur with her own emotion. I spoke too soon. My cheeks are wet. But hers are now too. A beacon of humanity. We carry the weight together. We talk, we lament. How much lighter could this feel if we were allowed to discuss as an organization about our own participation in and proliferation of violence, even if indirect? Can you imagine such a radical workplace conversation? I can. It's easy if you try. We're used to swallowing our truths so we can vomit profits into coffers for someone else, for someone far away that in their towers built on the foundation of compliance, for silence and for violence. When am I allowed to feel this? I can't swallow this anymore. I refuse to. It's not my poison to swallow. Cry with me, carry it with me, until we can give it back to all those people who demanded we carry it in the first place. Let them carry the weight of the coffins they filled. Let it crush them like it tries to do us. Let them feel on their hearts the pressure of their cosmic crimes. Can you imagine what would happen if we all got honest and at the same time?
The system within the system. The system within the system. I'm the duality stuck in the in-between. I know what you're going through, but you cannot see past these pupils, trying to be stoic, but clearly not heroic. The black hole lies past my eyes of sadness, guarded, not going to let you witness my stored tears that are more on the sidelines, ready truly but a bench player, bench, yet wants out of the game, yet has to play by the rules to try to get to ground level. Someone give me the basketball. There were no windows in the previous facility, yet this one there are windows upon windows, restraint from seeing the rain from before, pouring like oat milk in a latte, swirling, taking a trip to Paris, going to go where Van Gogh goes, but no, not now, not to meet him. A dialogue, maybe a martyr, not a devil nor God. I wonder what he withheld within his eyes, producing material, tangible, outwards expression, art, falling through ringlets of neon colors, becoming smaller and smaller against the pitch black body, limp, not a diver, but sort of a shape of a U, curved, suspended, playing the flutes, notes that would have been on the page, visible, falling through multitudes of third eyes, like opening locked doors to the past, patterns, memories, lights, dimmer, moving parts, then brighter, sirens, red, blue, and night. I cannot reach out and retrace the outline of your face. An eerily similar one sent me down the lane of what once was and what could have been. Deep conversations between us Scorpios. You confided in me that you put your sacred menstrual blood in special sand, would go to monasteries, us writers bonding over drastically different yet similar emotional paths. And now it flashed in front of me, and my heart sank like the somber sun did, dipping among the smog in LA, where she could be now. This place is secured by the hospital's walls, nurses, staff, security, cops, the divide within the self, while the music group was rocking to Staying Alive, such a juxtaposition as I really had wanted to die, and probably some or most of them as I looked in from the window, standing in the hallway as the music was seeping outwards from under the door. What's more, my existential confusion, the group later cheering and jeering at the TV stage fights of the WWE, and while me, I wanted to block out the fighting.
I'm the poet of my mind, which means I can't be trusted. Searching out to find, so the prints have all been dusted. Leaving clues and evidence, breadcrumbs on the ground portends a path that might just have an end, despite the ups and downs and bends. You can come along and follow. On a journey, ground is hollow. Every breath feels like it's borrowed. Dread that death collects in sorrow. Fear tomorrow, fear today. Fear is clearly in the way, blocking here with flood of tears, blurry vision, buzzing ears, commandeering parts I needed when so young on trauma feeded, until I broke and conceded to advice I finally heeded. Plans were changed, all rearranged, therapy to curb the strange, thoughts and meds to shrink the range on the spectrum of deranged. Seemed so plain, so obvious to everyone around, but I was blind, stuck in my mind like 6 feet underground. Dead man walking, body chalking, never pitching, always balking, said man talking, rambling, anything that random brings, tattered, torn, and shambling, head like eggs are scrambling. This is your brain, on drugs of a kind, to entertain and delve deep in my mind, peel back the layers and look past the rind. I truly do hope that you like what you find.
This is called Hand to God. Hand to God, every word of this is true. If you believe in that sort of thing, God, that is, if your definition and mine are the same, my God likes to hide in plain sight, play tricks with the light breaching a bedroom curtain on a lazy afternoon. It is too soon for all of these feelings, too late for any healing, but my God sees me just as I am. I am selfish. I am covetous. I get my passive aggression from my mother and my aggression from my father. Some things are just etched in stone. Thou shalt not tell me I am not perfect. My God shines on me. Hand to God, every word of this is true. If you believe in that sort of thing, truth, that is, if you believe in me, that is, turn a phrase turns, I amaze you with just the right thing to say, lacking the courage to disappoint even a little. And when I inevitably do, it's not something I can metabolize. I watch it metastasize. It grows to 3 times the size. Why is it that disappointing you destroys me? I am beyond reproach. I am beyond repair. I am reaching for that which I am afraid I do not deserve, and my God doesn't bother to tell me otherwise. My God is a neutral observer. My God, an indifferent beast, only offering platitudes like there's always tomorrow, and have you tried going for a walk? Oh my God, must I forsake you to get anything done around here, around these guts and brains and heart chambers that I swear do more than just move blood around? If you'll just give them a chance, do I have to do everything myself? I know it looks like that's how I want it, and that's how I want it, and I contradict myself. Is it my God I'm seeking, or just another layer of bottomless ego, turtles all the way down? There is no comfort in empathy, no penny for a thought. How will anyone ever trust me if I do not trust myself? Do not trust me. Or do I contradict myself? I'm holding space for all of it. I am trying. When did I divorce God from love? I am trying. My God is just a reflection of myself. I am trying. Reflecting on myself is what got me into this mess in the first place. I am trying. I'm going for a walk. Hand to God. It actually works sometimes. This is called Home Again. Right foot first, good foot forward. How many times must I remind myself to look before I leap? Plunged a bit too deep this time, bit off more than I could chew. How many metaphors for excess can you name? In my quietest moments, I admit to myself that I want everything, and urgently time slips silky through my fingers. I am running out of ways to say slow down, running out of patience, running out of time. If you keep running in the same direction, eventually you will return to the starting point. I am back at the starting point again. I am setting the leg, the embodiment of deja vu. How many revolutions does it take to see some evolution? How many times must I dance with the devil before he lets me go back home? What is home to an addict? What is addiction to a god? I am not a god. I am just a person. I am not a god. I am just a person. I am not a god. I am just a person. Say it like a mantra until I believe it. Say it like a mantra until it comes true. Who am I to say what I am anyway? In lockstep with the universe, who am I to say? The wind whispers to me, free will is a lie, and you are but a foot soldier. So fall in line behind your ghosts and listen close. There is nothing wrong you cannot fix, nothing good that's ever gone. The wind whips up a petal to kiss my cheek to make sure I am paying attention, but I'm on another plane, still trying to decide what the hell I am, as if free will and I were walking hand in hand. I am not a god. I am just a person. Right foot first, good foot forward until I am home again.
How it goes. Being a person is a delicate mix of focus. At any given time, you are experiencing the gifts of past choices while navigating an infinite and ever-changing menu of future outcomes. Every result conceivable begins with how you, in this moment, decide to spend time and pay attention. So that's fun. The more aware you are of such things, the more information and therefore power you gain access to. A strong foundation at this point is key. You'll be smashed against all past encounters while mirroring the result they caused, slingshotting into what your possible attachments will bring when certain strings are plucked. Eventually, you find moments of solidity, call it yours, and create self. A birth, life, and death all for you, pretending it's new, in order to bloom another flower to share power with. Once it's begun, a universal song will hum, humbly healing and flowing good feelings onto those kneeling to see into below, to see into. Below is too that all is above, and shadows change with light. Puppet shows cannot go where we play piperly, instruments of creation. The photons call home on us and reflect inside our minds brightly. It's no simple plight to mingle the tingles of singularity in circles as the shadows drain out. There's no room for doubt, debts have been paid, and time trickles on point, anointing this day as anew. Enjoy it for me, enjoy it for you. I walk barefoot freely because I have learned how to pick up broken glass. It starts by moving your ears 4 feet vertically down to listen with the soles of your soul. Show me what song soul has spun from my pause. I pause when cause caused me to sow ahead a new path, avoiding a 2-foot trap. Cat tactics. She's in all us already. No need to call. Just listen to the barefoot dance of broken glass paths that want to make you bleed for lacking the heat of cause. Crows line the rows of the damned, delicately demanding another morsel of flesh because you didn't pass the test of trusting the foundations you've donated your lives and loved ones into by accident. It's always happening, but happiness can be addressed to your box at any time. The choice is yours because the choice is mine. Do it for the blind. For those who feel left behind by unkind findings in the spine, for the feeling of safety and knowing it's okay to unwind and walk barefoot freely.
Life is the ultimate simulation video game our parents pre-ordered without reading its contents. I gotta tell you, the minority in the United States pre-order DLC sucks. And would like a refund, but no refunds are issued when life is set on survival mode. And that is what you do. Survive. Survive through trial and error and learn what it is to thrive in a seemingly never-ending cycle. Even if the results are not desirable at first, survive. When there are no other options, just survive. As much as you try to survive and be the best version of yourself possible, there are always going to be those who view you as public enemy number one. There are always going to be those who refuse to look into the mirror and reflect and look and paint their own canvas, making it look like some kind of gas. Always going to be those who will instantly forget all the good you've done and then villainize you and morally sentence you without trial at the first given opportunity, shining a big spotlight on a fallacy that the light's intensity has blinded them. There will be people who blindly purchase lies without reading the price tag nor the package contents and proceed to make a mess regardless. However, forgiveness is the first step towards salvation. Forgive them, for they do not know any better. Their instinct is to jump to conclusions, shoot first, then don't ask questions, passing judgment like kidney stones, pissing out processed pain like processed food. Research and investigation is not valued here. How do you think there are so many cold cases of murder in New Hampshire in the first place? Cases colder than the climate that has been around here, and the global warming is not to blame for the incompetency or perhaps corruption. Who knows? Both wear similar garments. There's a big difference knowing what a person has done and knowing who a person is, and they don't know that. Nobody pitches any no-hitters or perfect games on this field. It is impossible to go throughout life without making mistakes. However, I see nobody casting any stones for real. All sins looking for holiness. May the silence of their hypocrisy scream and echo in eternity.
It's called People Talk, Bodies Listen. I wear a crop top today to honor the body I had back in my senior year of high school. It was strong, toned, and could do some amazing expressive feats. The kind of body that probably would have gotten noticed by others in a positive way if it weren't for the fact I wore shame around my shoulders like an invisibility cloak. Shame, shame. Where did this shame come from? Was it because of the man at Walmart who did a low whistle as he passed by my middle school self, holding a shirt up to my chest? Looks good, he said, in a low rumble, a drive-by. I never told anyone that before. Was it because of the older high school neighborhood kid who started to talk to my elementary school self about his penis, and that I honestly don't remember what happened next? Or maybe it was my uncle's friend whose affectionate hugs grew in frequency and tightness proportionate to the increased development of my middle school breasts. Or was it my mom's chronic dieting because of the awful things my grandpa, her father, said to her when she started to go through puberty and her shape started to fill out, no longer a lanky child's? Me, an elementary school kid, sitting in a Weight Watchers meeting, listening to women cry about their bodies, obsessing over the perfect way to count calories. It's all their fault, you see. Their husbands won't touch them. They're following the plan perfectly, so how could this be? Perhaps it was something as simple as my friend lamenting at an entry to high school assembly that she hated summer because wearing shorts made more evident how her thighs squished out wide when pressed against the seat. Following her gaze, it became evident that compared to mine, these egregious thighs were much more discreet. Or maybe it was all the girls I performed with in high school were outright terrified that people could see their body hair, body rolls, body scars, that people could see their body at all, but still felt compelled to play to the script and show it all. They did so much to hide their so-called flaws. I did nothing at all. Well, except wear my invisibility, my cloak of invisibility sewn from shame and tried to camouflage it all. Maybe it was how those same girls ridiculed other girls for not doing what they deemed necessary. They shamed those that refused to move without confidence, the confidence they most certainly lacked. Or looking back, it might have been that it was just confidence they could simply not afford to carry. No wonder I became wary of my body that had become so deeply scary. Fast forward to my adult life, a man, actually no, a boy, many different boys in fact, making fun of hair in places they didn't think it belonged, questioning my outfit choices, can you really get away with that? Make me doubt my own beauty so as to not question our relationship, of course no one else would want me, not when I look like that. Or gassing me up and dressing my body as a sexual object for others to praise, I mean graze, I mean raise, I mean gaze upon, attract attention, make others jealous, my body a status symbol. Use my body for pleasure, but make no attempt to bring pleasure to it. To me, I forgot I was a mere afterthought. But not all the shame came from the blokes. There was one dame. I was never quite sure she was interested in my body at all. It started hot and then fizzled out, my body not mentioned since. While an autonomous body is a wonderful gift, the disinterest became a problem back then when I was still monogamous. Because of my prior training, the doubts crept in. If my body is a tool you will not use, then how do I know my love too you won't refuse? But today I wear a crop top because I can. I couldn't before because it clashed with my cloak, you see. I had to take it off. I don't want to look back in 10 years and regret wasted time too worried about the words other people spoke. Body, don't listen to them. You are allowed to feel safe here. Now I know that people who wish to control my body or cause me harm can take their words, shove them down their own throat, swallow and choke.
These open hands can easily become closed fists to protect and serve, but I deserve a peace of mind, not a linear line that I hoped to believe in, grinding this out until breaking point, in and out, no lullaby this time. Instead, treatment, mirror images, actions, shifting mirages of people, individuals, yelling. He's reading about the actor who played Hellboy, whereas this is some sort of hellish place, but nowhere near jail as the rest of them think, threatening nurses over what type of juice they'll receive and at what time. Trivial. They're just revved up over practically nothing. What a small world. At aerial view, this lake is shaped as the side of a face, yellow paddle boards with pretentious people, like the fabric of a polka-dotted blue dress, or rather this looks like some sort of weird disease, not at ease. They're paddling upwards to the wrinkly forehead, then pausing and moving slowly in circles where the eyes would be. Hang gliders are peeking in on the paddle boarders. A moving impressionist painting this is. Yes, they're impressed until night begins to fall, then an amenity occurs. Everyone leaves, thus the eyelids shut. No trace. When words cannot escape the prison of a closed mouth. When the shark of sorrow eats up consonants and vowel formation in the gray matter like an ocean without water, I cannot simply explain why in this question asked, why are you sad? Instead, I would draw a blank, expressionless, probably would shrug my shoulders and leave the questioner behind. Yet feel a knot in my gut
like the rope attached to the anchor with the sharks lurching. Don't ask me to write about hope when I need it the most or something beautiful instead of the darkness, a blessing and a curse, she said. The day after, bruised all over my forearms like a scene out of a movie. Forget about the song Dancing in the Dark. No, oh no, the daisies are actually dancing in the dark, swaying to the wind, to the rhythm of the unknown, tinged with hope, their white petals ruffled like maybe those dove's feathers when ready to take flight, and those daisies lie in a patch of grass outside the hospital's windows, to me untouchable, but hold the quintessential truth. He's too confident when he calls this place a crazy house, 'cause he's in it, one of the dwellers. He doesn't have more power than the rest of us. He's not the best out of the bunch, talking shit about people behind their backs. A bunch of bananas, Donkey Kong beating his chest while he could have died at the mercy of his own almost fatal decision a month ago.
It's called a disordered soul. Disorder of borders I cross without orders. One side to the other, extreme, just like hoarders. Recorders record, but slow-mo like a tortoise. In Goldilocks, simple, I'm hot or cold porridge. Needing more storage, needing more RAM. Causing a shortage and shocking my fam. Tied up in cordage, my feet in my hands. Late on my mortgage, must wander the land. To stay in the center, it seems like a dream. Exit the enter, yes, always obscene. My own tormentor with torturous scheme. Crazy inventor creating a scene. Causing the chaos that comes in between. Always display us in brightest of beam. You couldn't pay us to join on your team. No way to make us when all that you've been is stingy and nasty, so ghostly and ghastly. Treat me like shit and then make me the patsy. Try to outlast thee, tempest inside. Try to see past me, move with the tide, starting to splash me after I've dried. All of these paths seem like something I've tried. Nothing is new, not under the sun. Nothing to do, now under the gun. Nothing comes through, my brain it is done. If nothing is chasing, then why do I run? As if I have two restless legs, the friction is dangerous, a powder keg. Dealing with crazy stuff, making me beg. Feeling is making us crack like an egg. Just a square peg, forced in a hole that isn't the fit for this disordered soul, isn't the pick for this resident role. This little prick is sick, get him a bowl. He's heaving and lurching, oh, this is the worst thing to happen to anyone since that old birth thing. Now I am bursting, a wild ride. Now I am bursting, a wild ride, dried out and thirsting, everything tried. Back to the first thing I should just hide when caught up in cursing and tossed side to side.
This one's called Pissing in the Pool. What becomes of the hopeful romantic whose hope takes her to impossible places, whose idea of romance is charitable to say the least, whose heart has been used as a diving board into someone else's pool so many times she can trace the imprint of feet with her fingertips, they're gone too fast to touch anything else? What becomes of the hopeful romantic who paints her eyelids so she can be seen across the table, pint glasses and mood lighting, who flits those eyelids on the off chance that this one doesn't piss in her pool before he goes, who lays blame on herself because why can't she see this coming by now? The piss, that is. And maybe it's time to get over her fear of the fairer sex. I mean, as far as she knows, they don't piss in the pool or use yours to find a warmer one or bounce at the first sign of dusk, or at least not as much. But what does she know? What becomes of the hopeful romantic whose hope is not based in anything real, who is so starved for romance she will devour a crumb and call it a feast, who is torn between the part that knows better and the part that just wants to fucking believe, foolhardy and foolish, and fool her a million times, or try. She has seen this play before. Go ahead and piss in her pool. That's how she knows you're not good enough. That's how she'll know to leave you alone, give you access to her diving board so you can kindly see yourself out and find some other pool to piss in. Because what becomes of the hopeful romantic is she gets very sensitive, selective about who she lets take a swim, and she finds a way to keep hope alive even when she has no evidence to suggest she should. It is her favorite move because she is a hopeful romantic who finally knows how to keep her pool clean. That's that one. And this next one, I have actually never read this one aloud before, so we'll see how this goes. This is called Soliloquy for a Theoretical Lover. Before you step closer, it's important you know I've never done this before. I mean, this I've done, sure, but this, like this, in this way, for these reasons, I don't mean to be coy. I just get a little bashful putting me and this in the same sentence, a little tongue-tied as it. Let me run that back. Putting me and this in the same sentence, a little tongue-tied at its presence, like I have no business getting next to it, like my chance has passed me by, like the only thing that's left for me is a way to pass the time, a way to demarcate my life before you, after you. Will you be another mile marker, another notch in space-time, or could it be that you might maybe make me want you to stay, get a little comfy with it, play flashlight tag in a pillow fort in it? I am just a grown-up kid, never learned how to be anything else. Will you hold that against me, or will you hold my hand while we jump in the deep end? The buddy system is a classic for a reason. It takes two to assure we won't drown, and when we're done, we'll let the sun dry us off as I sneak bites from your ice cream bar, and we'll marvel at the weather we're having and laugh at how basic we've become, because two people in love is as basic as it gets. So forgive me when I get a little bashful. I've just never been this basic before, and I'm not quite sure it fits or suits me. Will it shrink in the wash, or can it withstand the spins and the tumbles and the waterlogged heaps of emotional baggage my ass has accumulated? Is love waiting baited for my presence, ready to catch me in the deep end, or are you just another mirage, watching as I drink the sand, amazed at the fact that I can? Do not let me drink the sand. Lead me to the water and jump with me.
Pain seems inevitable. We are literally born of it, forcing our physical creators into a trauma bond that's carried on until it hits something solid like light slashing through the veil with the strength of a sword, usually in the form of a word. But actually, it's not. Words are burning proof that we are all trying our best to explain the lack of rest leading to the death of ones we meant not to lose yet. No excuses. I need a minute to review this. When it started, just amusing, but then became muses who knew there was more to this. Keep secretly pushing our tongues while under the sun we sway together as one. What an insult to somersault into a new way of doing without including us all. I told y'all to listen, but you just kept missing the point, so I'll do my best to take up any more space. I've been sworn to keep the secret, but I just can't keep it. I've seen it all already. I'm so far from petty that Tom had to marry me just to Josephine being pretty. I'm just kidding. I'm just in it. Just to justify the fact that no one knows why we would ever choose fear except it's the only honest relationship we all have in common. Everything else is a lie we keep telling ourselves to get by, but why? Why, as simply by occupying the same mental space despite being displaced, intelligent divine creatures we all find ourselves to be in the now space. We've all chosen hate. Okay, the criteria to be a saint must be pretty high, so why even bother? My brother, are you just here to die? Or are you willing to give in and try? When you slip into the eye of all being and a piece of you still remains firmly seated at the table with all your peers, it could be years before we get an opportunity like this again. To mend time and bend minds over matter multiplied by the exact same tongues we use to taste the tears of all crying, every word, rhyme, and sigil aside, I needed to construct a ride for everyone to fit inside while we get through this together. When the weather is bad, we all need a helping hand to lend to someone seemingly strange to our plan. So please leave your comforts at the door until all this is balanced once.
Morning glory. The clock read 11:47 when it felt like we ascended to heaven. As our eyes closed and lips parted by our tongues, spiritual transcendence cracked my mind open like an egg against porcelain with the softest touch. as her lips crashed against mine like a meteor, sending tsunami waves of excitement and pleasure to the shorelines of my being, swallowing and washing away whatever trash I still had in the slums of my heart. So, in case you didn't know, the way we kiss is entire radio frequency I wish I was tuned into a long time ago. If kisses were like songs, we just got those hits that are music for the soul that can steal any show in my world. With that said, let me know if you want to hold a concert at the corner of Noyer Boulevard and Jabroni Drive. Your jam is my jam, and I hope my jam is your jam. And I would love nothing more than to jam together. Let's identify as Bob Marley because I want to be jamming with you. I dig our sound, our vibe, the way it just clicks. It's the kind of shit that makes me feel alive. So let's take 5 and contemplate more on this cool jive, this new song we created. I want to spring and blossom with you, to be able to write words on the same page with you. My world's hues are not in blue when I'm sharing a moment with you. Magic carpet riding into your soul. Our lips are sliding, losing control. Please excuse me. Without further ado, allow me to get lost with you. I don't have the slightest of clue, and it goes probably double for you, so let's have pure passion escape the zoo and stampede us too. This one's called Pigeon Man Writes to Arnold. For years, I have dried the tears of many birds, not just pigeons. I have a spiritual bond with nature's aviators. They understand me, and I understand them. It's people I can't understand. Humanity has bit too much more often it could chew from Mother Nature's eternally sacrificing and giving hands. It hurts me to see the way people hurt each other. The way hurts people, the way we all hurt. It is a shame how the rest of the planet suffers because of so much hurt. Humanity needs to learn and apply the lesson of turning negatives into positives as opposed to combating negatives with negatives, but I digress. As I flew towards the sun, I felt I was chasing the horizon forever. Arnold's life is so much different when your head is in the clouds. Everything feels so much smaller. You, me, the troubles we face, the worlds and everything in it. Despite of all the things I have seen, the places I've been to, the birds I've befriended, I haven't been able to meet another Arnold. Your kindness is a mighty flame that brings warmth and light to anyone who comes close enough. Empathy is an ability that's becoming lost in time, and my time is coming to an end. Arnold, don't be sad. I am a man whose head is in the clouds, but you have time on your side to be the link that binds human and bird together. Never give up. Trust your instincts and reach for the sky. I miss you. Warm regards, Vincent. P.S. Always wash your berries before eating them and fly towards the sun.
It's called Cheekbones. You look nice under this autumn moon. Need a light? Room for two. Let's fly a kite and take flight till we're out of sight. I'm out of mine. Say it again, pretty please, that pretty itty bitty lie. I'll pretend I'm not dressed in this ungainly disguise in plain sight beneath the bright gaze of pretty stars, full lips, satellite, and pretty eyes, a welcome guise, skin tight, kiss bite, just for tonight. Shut the door quietly behind you. There are condoms in the bedside drawer. I'm not hungry. I'm bored. My gums ache. I want my cake, but I won't eat it. It would surface at my hips. Anyway, I have a surfeit to spare. I smile with my lips because my silly teeth have up and gone and lost all of their hair. I'm insecure. What for? Sure, like you don't already know. Like it's not the first thing you noticed. Don't pity me. For this litany, I'm alone to blame. I'm not trustworthy. I lack restraint. Shatter my plate and eat off of my face. I would do it myself, but I'm not hungry. I'm bored. The world is my oyster, or so I hear. Discordant notes drown out clear as my austere eyes bounce about funhouse mirrors. I swear they're always greener on the other side of the photo reel. I swear to God I'm even keeled. I swear to you that this is real, crystal queer. I can finally peer beneath my hallowed cheekbones, and to me that means a solid deal. I swallow the siren peel. I don't need to eat a solid meal. Have you been listening at all? I already told you, dear. I'm not hungry. I'm bored. Poem. Next one is one that I wrote last year, the day before I went to inpatient for the first time ever, after a pretty severe manic episode and depressive episode that followed it. And hearing a lot of people also talk about their experience with bipolar disorder and also their experience with queer trauma inspired me to share this one. This is called Agamemnon's Resignation. Hosanna in the highest has hindered another dogged contender, introduced to a crowded blender, mixed alongside legal tender and pureed, a soiree of thought designed expressly to forget her, an intervention impromptu after a clandestine fender bender. I cannot seem to forgive myself for snuffing out nascent cinders of fires that required only more air and no more tinder. I can't even hear you right now. My brain is splintered. 5,000 voices crowd me. I feed them bread and angler. I am a vivid painter, a magnanimous creator, wickedly talented. I am my own greatest danger. Disappointing Daedalus is my idea of adventure. Tantalizing fruit outside of my reach is what's for dinner. Where have I been? What do you mean? Why does it matter? I'm appearing here on a ladder, peering into the eyes of a faggot battered and finding behind his tears only fear and fetters and tattered. I stun with panache. The world's a stage. I'm a dancer. Rose petals scatter the proscenium. I should feel so flattered, but I do not. Incapable of believing that I matter, I loathe the thought that I should desire a quick fix to get better. Why would require I any course of treatment to help me weather the rain that's precipitated my life when I've tuned out the pitter-patter? Without it, who am I? Is there anything left? My ego shattered? But maybe on the other side, there's a kernel of something better. I suppose I cannot really possibly know until after. I need only present my silvered pride on this wounded platter. Oh.